How you all doing, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my 2023 AFC and NFC Championship Game picks. Before we talk about the Conference Championship games, I don't know if I want to get into any thoughts from what happened in the divisional round. Obviously, if you're a part of Bills Mafia, it could not have been the ultimate nightmare for this franchise. And what do I mean by that? Is that, if there's ever an NFL fan base that has just been stabbed in the heart so many times, it's the Bills. I mean, I try not to be biased on here or to root for, because I don't want to be like too objective and all. I mean, I have to really think about it, but I really thought that last week that the Bills had their best opportunity to finally get past Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and yet in the end, they still ended up losing to them. And I don't think Bills fans need to be reminded of a certain field goal that went wide right that Tyler Bass missed. Obviously, I'm talking about Scott Norwood. Before you blame Bass or anybody who wants to try to blame Josh Allen and all that, look, the Bills offense, they did everything they could. But you have to give the Chiefs defense a ton of credit. Spagnolia's defense really just did a great job on Josh Allen and that offense. They really just held the Bills out to really a lot of yardage, and it just really hurt them in the fact that they did not do a good job of converting on third down. And their defense really was, I mean, look, it's hard to use injuries as an excuse, but obviously the Bills had too many injuries on defense, and I would have thought that maybe there was some way, somehow that, being at home in front of your home fans and all that could be enough momentum swingers to finally put it into your favor. But once again, Patrick Mahomes finally shut up critics and saying I can win on the road. And now for the 6th straight year that the Chiefs are back in the AFC Championship game. Now their opponent coming up, the Ravens, I didn't figure to be much of a football game myself, but sooner or later that Ravens offense would eventually wake up. And it did in the second half against the Texans. And a lot of it now question marks for Lamar Jackson. Now he's playing in his first AFC Championship game. And this is the first AFC Championship for the Ravens in over 11 years. And this time they finally get to host an AFC Championship at home. Most of their AFC Championships have been on the road. So there's going to be a lot of question marks now to see if the Ravens can finally beat Mahomes in the playoff, to beat Mahomes to get to the Super Bowl. There's a lot of question marks going to that. Now, talking about the NFC side, the 49ers were lucky to survive the Packers. You got to give Jordan Love and that Green Bay Packer offense a ton of credit. They really disrupted a lot, especially the defense too. They really disrupted a lot of Brock Purdy in the passing game. And obviously, it really frustrated him all game. But at the same time too, that Packer defense, they've had numerous opportunities to intercept Brock Purdy, probably maybe 2-3 times in that game. And yet, Brock Purdy came out pretty clean. And obviously, Jordan Love being a little bit more Brett Favre-ish, as I like to call it, throwing in a game and an interception. 49ers ended up surviving, but it may have come at a cost. We don't know the status of Deebo Samuel. He's going to be a huge question mark going into the NFC Championship game if he's going to be available to play. So that could be kind of a big blow to the 49ers offense. And talking about the other game, the Lions and the Buccaneers, it's really a great story for the Detroit Lions now. 2 playoff wins now. Now one game away from the Super Bowl, their first NFC Championship game since the 1991 season. And this group of Lions is not the same old Lions. What Dan Campbell has done a fantastic job, and really that culture of that franchise has changed. But now comes the big test against the 49ers now in the NFC Championship game, which we will talk about in a few minutes. Now it's going to be huge question marks. It's really good to see the Lions finally get this far, but I will get into my thoughts on what will happen in the Conference Championship games, and it's now time to talk about the AFC and the NFC Championship games. I will begin with, first, the AFC Championship. The AFC Championship game, the Chiefs versus the Ravens. The Ravens are a slight 3.5-point favorite, and it will not surprise me if that number goes down to 3, maybe 2.5. The way that the Chiefs played against the Bills last week, basically, they really actually did dominate that game against the Bills. And Patrick Mahomes, 17 of 23, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. But really the key for that win over the Bills was really Pacheco. This guy can run through a brick wall. And that is something that Ravens defense better be ready for, because Pacheco really has really been on fire in the running game. But you got to wonder now with Ravens defense, can they get to Patrick Mahomes and Pacheco and put a stop to it? Obviously, Kansas City's wide receivers is still a question mark. Obviously, that Travis Kelce is still the factor going into this game. But what about Lamar Jackson? 16 of 22, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. This is where supposedly he's going to be the MVP, and let's see if he does provide that MVP status. The way I look at this football game, this game is a huge, huge toss-up. This is a game I could see going back and forth. I think this is a game we could see a shootout in this AFC Championship game here. It's a tough pick. This is a coin flip. It's a 50-50 pick who wins this one here. The Ravens, even though 3.5 favorite, that number might be much lower before the start of this football game. I'm going to pick the Baltimore Ravens to win the AFC Championship. I think, to me, Lamar will finally get off the schneid, and I think, to me, it's going to be a very close football game, but somehow, some way, Lamar Jackson will get this game, will get it done. They will find a way to get it done, and they will beat the Chiefs. Because you still got to wonder about, in the passing game for the Chiefs, obviously, the fact that the Ravens defense really did a great job on the Texans last week. And now the bigger test for that defense is, can they get to Patrick Mahomes? I'm picking the Ravens here at -3.5. I think the Ravens will squeak out a victory to win the AFC Championship here. Ravens over the Chiefs. And now the NFC Championship game. The Detroit Lions versus the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are a 7-point favorite, a touchdown favorite over the Lions. Jared Goff for the Lions was 30 of 43, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a key, no interceptions. Brock Purdy was 23 of 39, 252 yards, 1 touchdown, and a key factor for him, no interceptions, in which there could have been at least 3 interceptions in that game against the Packers. And now comes the big test now for this Detroit Lions team to see if they can go into San Francisco and pull off maybe one of the greatest upsets in NFL playoff history. Question marks I still have on that Lions defense, though. In their last 2 playoff games, they've given up a total of nearly 700 yards of rushing off of the run, and that to me poses a big issue now. The Lions secondary against the Bucs, they did a decent job in stopping in the pass defense, but really now the question marks now comes against the run. And obviously, McCaffrey's going to be huge in this game to provide the running game for the 49ers. But you have to keep in mind, the Lions also have a 1-2 punch in the running game of their own in Montgomery and Gibbs. And that is also going to be a huge factor for that 49ers defense, because last week against the run, Aaron Jones lit them up big time. And now you got to wonder, with 2 running backs, you got to wonder if the Lions can exploit that. Again, this game is another toss-up. This game is gonna be really close, but I don't think it'll be like a shootout like I predicting for the AFC Championship game. I think this game will be much low scoring. I think it'll probably be like a 20-17 type of game. I think, to me, that both defenses are physical and they're tough, and they can provide the pressure in terms of trying to sack the quarterback. It's a really tough pick here. My heart wants to go with the Lions here because I would love to see the Lions, and I can't be biased here. I would love to see the Lions get to the Super Bowl, to finally get their first crack at the Super Bowl. But when I look at it, though, the Niners are the number 1 seed in the NFC for a reason. And it just pains me to say this, though. I think the 49ers are going to edge out a victory against the Lions. The Detroit Lions have been a great story all season, but I think this is going to come to an end against the 49ers. It's going to be a very close game, but I think that the 49ers, in the way that if they can get their offense, Brock Purdy's going to play much better in this football game, I guarantee you. for the Lions, Jared Goff is going to have to be completely flawless in this game against that 49er defense. It's going to be a close game, but I think the Niners will barely edge out a victory against the Lions. And I'm going to pick the 49ers at -7. 49ers over the Lions. And that, my friends, is my Super Bowl 58 matchup prediction. Remember, this is just a prediction. We don't know what's going to happen in the conference championship. I still could be wrong here. But those picks, my Super Bowl 58 matchup prediction, the Ravens versus the 49ers in Super Bowl 58. All right, everybody, that's it. I will see you guys in 2 weeks when I make my official pick for Super Bowl 58. And until then, everybody, take care and enjoy this NFL Playoffs Championship weekend. Take care, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.